So we got some weird stuff going on, right? We were pretty goddamn close to getting to the CTA sell line last week, but we didn't. In fact, even on this day here on Friday, I myself even tweeted out that the Doom posters today about the whole tariff thing was not the day to be short. Now, for the tariff thing, I mean like the Supreme Court saying the tariffs were illegal. And I actually went up 800% on the day. So this was funny because I did 800% here. I took the screenshot at 7, but it closed at 8. I took the screenshot and then closed it, right? And I'll explain why in a second. But this trade, you actually could have ran it back on Friday twice. 3 times, I think. Wait, 1, 2, 3 or twice. We're going to see in a second. But I think it was 2 or 3 times. I did it twice. I ended up the day starting with $368 into $8,000. Now, how this happened was, what happened? What do we see here, right? Like, this is the screenshot from Friday. All this dealer short, well, hold on, dealer support here held. So they have to hedge this inventory to the upside, and we stayed in positive gamma range while bouncing off the top of this wave all day Friday, right? And we charmed up into the upper part of the close. Now, I'll explain how this happens here. So let's go take a look. If we kind of look at what happened all day, we rode this negative gamma territory wave all the way up, right? So we started lower in the day, then higher, and then lower, and then higher, lower, then higher. We actually closed the day positive, even though the day started off so shit, right? So sorry if I'm looking at this a little bit weirdly here. I've never actually used the historical slider here. But you can see all day we just rode the top of this gamma wave as it was shifting. Now, negative gamma doesn't mean the market has to go to 0. In fact, had we started further back here, I actually think the hedging to the upside could have been a 50-to-1 reward rate. Now, Dan called this in the Discord, and I was like, yo, he's right. And, you know, we could look at this from a gamma perspective as well. There were single prints above that need to be filled. But it was the day to actually scalp long to the upside, regardless of what the news said. And that's probably why, too, you don't want to be a news reader, right? So it was a free day pretty much just to the upside, regardless of what everyone thinks, right? And, I mean, to be fair, we never dropped kind of below this area here. And then, like, just to end things off, we reclaimed the 50 and the 21. From a weekly perspective on EMAs as well, we never fully sent below the 20, and the 50 is still all the way back here, right? So it was the week probably to do it, but it just didn't happen yet. And that's okay. But even just thinking from here, like a breadth perspective and a CSEO perspective, we're not really safe yet. Now, what's interesting thinking forward here is dealers are actually long this week. Now, SPX futures are opening up lower, which is whatever, but it's just, we're going to have to see what happens in the real hours, not in the pre-market. Now, this could be because some of the Iran fears, the Citrini research fears. Not sure. Really not sure. But I think right now is just weird for everyone. This is probably the last week, I would say, just because it's NVIDIA earnings and how skew is, that we might be able to target upside again. And just real quick here, if we were to try and fill some single prints up here, this would be the week to do it, considering we have a tail here. So I'm not sure what happens. We held the 2-day composite perfectly. In fact, like we held above it and pushed up, right? We closed above the point of control for that day as well. It's bullish right now. After hours doesn't mean anything. This can all change. It always does, right? You know, on Friday, the VIX crushed down a bit, right? It didn't hold against 20. So this was, again, Friday was a day to be bullish. It was. Regardless of how volatile and choppy it was the day to stay bullish on those scalps, right? So this is where things get complicated, is that, 1, yes, we can go up and fill those single prints. 2, we haven't sent below yet. We have not sent below the CTA sell line. We have not lost the 20 week yet. We're close, but we haven't yet. But if NVIDIA is going to report and be weak and show forward guidance being poor, maybe they miss, maybe their CapEx is weird, we don't know. And we know it's been overextended for a lot of these tech companies, right? The NASDAQ has not been beautiful to trade. It's been very weak, right? In fact, when the NASDAQ lags like this, I mean, if you look at other years when it starts to get weird like this, or it starts underperforming compared to the SPX near the highs, it's not good. And a great example of that would be like 2021, right? Where the NASDAQ topped out before, and then the SPX went higher, and we were all ready to go down, right? Or usually when this happens, you get this divergence where the SPX, or where the NASDAQ's already topped and the SPX is still trying to come up. That's usually your downward sign, right? And they follow pretty close. But what we can see here is the NASDAQ has topped out before the SPX and has actually been showing weaker again. It's not breaking out of the highs while the SPX is still trying to fight. Tech is lagging bad. We know why. We've explained it before. It's nothing new. So what I'm looking for this week is to hold above the 2025 VWAP here, to get back within it and hold above still. And we're going to open up right within it again. And I'll be looking to see if we can clear upside and keep the bullish momentum on, right? That's a scalp. I am still very, very, very bearish on the S&P for a lot of reasons. Okay, this is not anything, you know, weird, unheard of, whatever from me. I've been very transparent on being bearish on both crypto and equities, right? If we cannot break 7,000 this week from a skew perspective, right? I mean, this is like one thing, but I also mean from like an options skew perspective, okay? I will be looking for more downside very fast into March. And I'll get into it a bit in a while with Bitcoin as well, and why I kind of think that. With the Supreme Court, you know, filing tariffs as illegal and refunds potentially having to happen, you know, the overseas tensions with the European trade deal, with Iran, whatever you want to narrative it as, I will be watching the long end of the yields to see if these can finally catch a breakout. I'll also be watching for the VIX to still cross 25 going into March, right? And we've explained that before. If we want to pop over real quick, take a look at the VIX. There is a lot of, this is different now going into March than it was after February. Like the Feb OPEX here, this is different now. This has a chance to get really violent to the upside if we can clear 20 and clear 25 and continue upwards. And up towards 80 stuff, this gets crowded as well. Actually, while we're here, let's look at broker dealer firm as well. Yeah, 35 is pretty large as well. Okay, this is interesting going into March. This is very interesting. So the VIX has been on pretty much a constant uptrend now for the last like few weeks. I want to see if it continues. This is the first week where it actually finished down in a while, but I've seen it before where it does that and then whipsaws back up, right? A lot of time it gets one quick nuke down and then the big spike. And I think with everything going on right now, and if Nvidia can't report cleanly, I think this is the week to do it. The week coming up to do it is soon. We failed to hold 7,000 multiple weeks in a row, and we're still not really getting there. And even last week, we still closed under the previous week, right? Doesn't say we can't come up here and chop around for a bit more, but I'm very firm on this. The pain trade is to the upside, not the downside. We're way overextended. If this was like a fresh bull market, I would say whatever, let it do its thing. We're in the 4th year of the cycle. It's never different. It's never different, and that's not for just Bitcoin or whatever. It's for all assets, right? So I want to look at the SPX again here. We're gonna flip back here. So this is going into March. You've got crazy resistance up here at 7,000 still. You've honestly got a lot here, like through this whole range. But again, up to 7,000 is crazy, and then right into like 7,150 as well is crazy, right? But it's not really different. Like, it's been like this for months. I still think the upside's completely capped. I don't even see how it's possible to go higher. And if we look at something like this too, I've showed this a couple times now. But you're just being baited to buy the $7,000 or 7,000 strike. Like really, you're just being baited. There's nothing to do there. So it's up to you, like how you feel about this. I think this is the last week to make an attempt to blast through 7,000. And I think the first 2-3 weeks of March are going to be more volatile than shit. If you think now's bad, I think it turns up the volume worse. I'm very confident about that. Okay. Again, the risk is to the downside, not the upside. Like the downside is going to be the easier trade. It's probably more susceptible to happen. I think the upside is very, very, very limited still. Very. More than ever. The US has a shit show going on now, and not a lot of people want to be buyers at those highs, and it's prominently showed. It's prominently showed. Okay. So I don't even have much to say about this. Real quick, if I just wanted to throw Anchor View app, like let's say, okay, this will be our previous week now. Or wait, hold on. Let's show the previous week and how this played out. The entire time, all we did was trade under this previous week view app. We didn't even get above it or whatever, except for the final day. Okay, so going into this week, probably just want to anchor it to this week here and see how it will trade in the coming week. Right, so you wouldn't really want to send below this. SPX futures are opening up kind of choppy, right? They're down a couple points. This can completely change. You're not under the last previous day's candle in the pre-market, whatever, like whatever. Just wait till the market actually opens and trading starts. We'll see how Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday goes, because Wednesday Nvidia reports. Real quick, what we'll do is we'll look. The XLF still looks pretty beat. From EMA's perspective here, you're fighting to hold the 200 day. You're fighting to hold the 200 day. That's not healthy. That is not healthy. If I had to guess, it maybe comes up and tests this quick before going down. Fighting to hold the 50 week. Next target's 200. This is not normal when markets are at all-time highs. Banking and financial should not be doing this. And Blue Owl just cut off one of their private equity firms, I believe, and halted customer withdrawals. Something's up. And I've been saying this forever, bro. And the Apollo credit going to cash defensive, building balance sheet in December, a month from that, 30 days from that, pretty much marked the top. Something is wrong, and I've been screaming since October that private equity and private credit is terrible, and everyone is wrong about this. I don't know how big this correction is going to be or how large. I have estimates, but I can't just pick a price point. But I think it's going to be bigger than what the majority thinks is going to happen. And I don't think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be very rapid. But you can't just call a price target. You have to watch for your vol metrics and everything to calm down and reset. Because you could easily do some strange blip where you blast through 6,700 and, test 6K or whatever, get a false bounce, and then nuke another, 1,000 points. I can't just pick a price target. I have to see what happens once the sell-off starts and how vol looks. Okay? But we'll get back on track here. Let's just look at credit spreads. Still fairly elevated. Not much different there. We'll go to the daily. There's no reason for these to be trying to perk up while we're barely off the highs. Barely. We're barely off the highs. We've been up here for 5 months. Why are these all of a sudden starting to send up and make higher lows and higher lows and higher highs? It's not normal. There's your higher low. There's your higher low. Here's a higher low. What's going to happen going into this week, right? What's interesting is the yield effective is kind of toned down, but the options adjusted is not. Oil, again, trying to break out. And I said oil was primed kind of for a bull flag. I called this out. And everyone was like, what? Gold as well, trying to break out again. Silver trying to break out again. I still think these are in consolidation phases, but it is interesting to see. Google's down, trying to fight for itself. Amazon's down, trying to fight for itself. Apple's down, trying to fight for itself. Meta's down. This meta trade, I'm still mind blown at how perfectly I called this. I mean, if you guys go back a few videos, I literally said it was going to fill this gap, which it did, and then go down and fill this gap and keep going. And it did. And now you got to fill this one here. So, perfect. Like, literally bang on. Microsoft still getting beat like a horse. Nvidia still can't break out. This is your earnings on the 25th. What's going to happen? Tesla still just not breaking out. Palantir can't catch a bid. Broadcom can't catch a bid. Intel can't catch a bid. Intel's real interesting. Real interesting trade. He's I don't know. This is a weird one. CoreWeave and Oracle still blowing themselves up. Nothing to do there. You know, Blue Owl went down 6% on the day, which is pretty rough. Still on a consistent downtrend. Blackstone still on just a huge downtrend. Like nothing is really safe, I would say. Like all these critical players just are looking weak, and that's not healthy. I think people are really wrong about the upside, personally. Okay, so don't read your fucking options flow guys on Twitter if they're calling for $3 million SPY order to the upside. Well, billions get played around with the SPX daily. Why would you be looking at the SPY call flow ratio? It means nothing. Alright, like those options flow traders, like the majority of it, 90% of the time, means absolutely fuck all. Okay, so that's where I want to end on with the SPX. I really don't think there's anything cool to do here. I say, like, personally, I literally all I do is stack shorts up here and then just scalp the downside. Like I'll just bid the range both ways until one breaks. But I've just been stacking up here using whatever scalp price to the downside and creating a hedge, which is just, it's just free money. Like, it's not even out of my personal whatever. You just scalp your downside profit, reaccumulate, scalp your downside profit, reaccumulate. Like, it's just, I don't know. Anyways, so this is our 2-week composite we were trading in the entire time, right? So we built a 2-week composite. We held above, held below, failed to break out, broke below, held below the point of control during the weekly close, right? That's not good. That's not good. That means the upside is still limited for now. So we had multi-day composites on quite a few days. None of them held, including here. We can combine this now. This 2-day composite here at 60 should be like 68 68 on the dot, pretty much 67.9. That's going to be your capped upside for now on a 2-day composite point of view. Okay, so what we can do now is go to the weekly, change this over to the 1 week. What do we see that's going on? We can combine this now into a 3-day composite. Now what we can do is shift this down here. Our value area to the upside can get shifted down. And that's a pretty tight range, but we're definitely under it. So we got 3 weeks here of value, which is huge. That's a pretty big composite. Man, we got a lot of unfilled single prints above, but in crypto markets, I would not be surprised if these didn't get filled. Only thing I can say is maybe we retest that April value area low eventually before going down. If we were going to do that, I assume that's in very early March, and I'll explain why in a second. But this is kind of your range right now. This is your 3-week point of control. So mark this down and use those multi-day composites as well to execute your trade. This doesn't look good right now, and I would not be surprised at some point if we went and revisited these poor lows down here. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking about that right now. When I look at BTC here, all I see on a weekly higher time frame is failure to break out and continuing to set lower lows, right? Like, none of this is breaking out at all. It's not good. And then, like, from a daily as well, you know, we know our quarterly VWAP. Right, if we go from January 1st, all we've done is ride it down, okay? If we were to come and, let's say, test this quarterly VWAP, you know, start looking for that 78 range maybe, but That's hard to say. It's really hard to say. If we were to take the previous week view app here and look, again, all we did was trade within it. That's it. We failed to break out and trade within it, right? There's not much to do there. So we'll have to mark down this previous week now and anchor this here and see what happens, right? So I think if the upside is limited, you're probably going to sweep lower at some point here. On BTC, it's just a matter of when. A lot of people on Twitter talk about that options whale that was buying the what was it, 77K strike for the end of the month. It's possible, but when I look at options flow on BTC, to me it means nothing because a lot of the time it's just a hedge. Every one of these rallies has been short covered, right? So one day what I'll do is maybe I'll show the alpha tool that shows a lot of positioning. I just don't want. I don't know if that's worth leaking. Maybe, I don't know. It's almost too good sometimes, but we'll see. Maybe I'll leak it one time and I'll show you some real positioning from big whales, but we'll see. One thing I want to mark and actually show you guys, this is cool. Shout out to Cole from Volmex. But what we'll add on here is BVIV, which is an implied 30-day volatility index. When you get these kind of big spikes here on BVIV, right? Like if you look at BVIV, this is interesting. So like it kind of works similar to the VIX, where you get lows here and then you can bid higher. You get lows and you can bid, but when you get these rising things here, that's when things get interesting. I don't understand why here this spiked here at a high. Cole, maybe that's a question you can answer if you're watching this. But BVIV works pretty good in terms of a volatility index. But also speaking about volatility and Bitcoin markets, Bitfinex has not really rounded off their TWAP yet at all, like especially on like a weekly time frame. They haven't even really begun it. And USDT dominance, I mean, people are still fledging to stablecoin protection. So that's not a good sign, right? I don't think Bitcoin's even close to bottoming. I think it's just a battering fest. But if I had to take a guess here and say what the next move is, I'm going to assume that since we bottomed the week of February 6th, we'll probably set a lower high into the first 1 or 2 weeks of March before the next leg down, if we're going to follow this 2018 pattern. So could the low be in for February? Maybe. Does it need to set a low in the first 10 to 15 days of March? Maybe. Could it do in April? Maybe. But if I think it's going to follow this 2018 like it has, which is the same party in the market, right? February 6th was the bottom, I believe. And so was it here. Right, that same week. I expect that if this is going to be the low here, we get some weird pop rally into the first week or two of March, which is next week, the next 2 weeks, and then we would top out somewhere, probably in the low 80s, maybe high 70s, before the next big leg down. And I think that's when equities will follow. That's my best case. If it extends out a little bit, if I wanted to change that bias, like I'll have a second route, I would say the first 2 weeks of March will set a low, bounce into the middle of the month into FOMC before going down again, right? Because if we look at history for how Bitcoin's been trading, it's like the low usually comes in within the first 15 days before your upside move happens into like next month or the later half of that month, right? Same thing back here. It's like April 7th was the low, and then you rally, right? It depends kind of where you're at in the cycle, like in terms of marking the low. But if you look, like August 5th was a low, September 2nd was a low, October 7th is a low. Like, you get what I'm saying is it's usually the first 15 days of the month, depending which part of the cycle you're in, if you're in the bull or the bear. And this could change. This could definitely change, but So I think a lot of this is important, thinking about the quarterly, you know, big indexes. Yeah, if I had to guess, I think Nvidia this week is the kicker going into March, and the Iran situation and this tariff crackdown. I think that's the next kind of switch. I wonder if we're gonna get that short covering rally, you know, into March, where we just kind of make a short covering rally, shorts cover up here, and then we make the next leg down. Right? That's what I'll be looking for the next downside scalp. So we'll see. We'll see if we have to sweep these lows first before going up, or we go and set the lower high right away. Okay? But I think I'm going to end the video there. There's not much more for me to talk about. It's a shit fest. It is a shit fest. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the week opens up and what our profiles are looking for the week and going into March OPEX, as February OPEX just expired. Okay, but yeah, guys, it's been your boy Trout, and we'll catch you on the next one.